Well, I just came to see one of my very best friends, Chick Kunitake from Waiaha River Coffee, up here in Haleakala. And longtime friends, but also longtime supporters of the Emily T Gail show. But Chick, every year for years for the Daniel Sayre Memorial Foundation dinner, donates coffee for all the honorees. I've been talking about the Daniel Sayre dinner. It's coming up this Saturday, September 5th at the Fairmont Orchid. Frank and Laura Sayre lost their son in a hiking accident 18 years ago in Po'olu Valley. And from that day on, they said they were going to do everything they could to raise funds for the Hawaii County Fire Department and to get much needed equipment. And Chick, you've been friends of people in the fire department for many, many, many years. And you're so loyal every year about donating these bags of coffee for the firemen that they honor who go beyond the call of duty. So just talk a little bit about your history with the the Hawaii County Fire Department and your feelings about the Daniel Sayre dinner.
Well, my thing with them is I knew some of the long time ago, the firemen. I used to play softball and hang out with those guys, and all through these years to dipping captains along the way, I've met them and had a good rapport with them. And also, they have many times they have come down the farm because one of my sisters and brothers needed help, and they always were there for us. And the last one was my brother Earl. He's a diabetic. So they came down here and picked him up and revived him again, and and send him back home, but we depend on them a lot. I do anyway. Hopefully that we all can appreciate them thoroughly. How many times they have come and be assisted to my family and my neighbors. So I just love those guys at the fire department and the rescue squad. So my whole thing about it is I would love them to appreciate the coffee that we make down here. So many of them have already been to the farm many times, and I really appreciate how they work and how they give, relieve all the stress that we have.
Knowing that they're there and then knowing that they're the first responders, and
Yes.
Frank and Laura having, just gotten the community to turn out in such great force over the last 17, 18 years and get a lot of that rescue equipment that they need and little things that we don't even think about. But every year, you're so good about it. You get the coffee ready and you get it down to the fire station for them. Today, I'm going to take it down myself on your behalf and from us collectively. And it's just a wonderful thing, the Daniel Sayre Memorial Foundation, that Frank and Laura, again, they said they were going to do everything they could to raise monies to get the equipment that they saw that their first responders didn't have when they were recovering Daniel's body. But I know you've always had a real affinity for the Hawaii County Fire Department. You've always had nice things to say.
Yes.
And
truly, they've been a savior for me. So donating a bag of coffee here and there is my pleasure. My family's pleasure, in fact,
Well, all the honorees, I think there's 14 of them this year. I know that they appreciate it, and every year they honor some of the firemen who go beyond the call of duty throughout the year. There's so many that do, but it's nice that they can honor more of them every year, and it's nice to add a little something to their packages. And your Waiaha River Coffee is kind of it's an annual thing. It's part of the program every year. This Chick donates the coffee from the Kunitake family, the Kunitake Ohana, in appreciation of all the times that first responders have been there for your family.
Well, I like to thank Dr. Sayre and his wife and all whoever were helping him out. I said, this is a good thing they did because it concerns all of us. I think, the whole county. Whole island, in fact,
And Chick, your family has been on this land. Here I am down here, this coffee land of yours for, what, 95, 96 years, something like that?
Yeah, it's going pretty close to 100 now.
100 years.
And those things are all appreciated by us from our grandparents, you know, and we get to stay here and do have coffee and things like that. You know, this is Kona, and we appreciate what my grandparents did and my parents also, and that's why we try to give back to the community.
You're very
whatever we
generous in
can.
the community, you know, just for whether it's the Kona Waiaha basketball team or events in the community. Your family, the Kunitake Ohana, is very generous in the community. And generous when I go to Detroit and I share the coffee with a lot of the people that I have as guests, and you have some links with Detroit too. You know, so there's a lot about the two communities that in our own little way we've been connecting over the years.
Yeah.
We all have relatives and friends both places, right?
And especially this fire department and the rescue, you know, people, it's beyond the call of duty for them, because you don't know how appreciated we are, our family anyway, when they respond and come right away, you know. It's a wonderful feeling that they're there for you, and I appreciate it very, very much.
And whether you live down the mountain a mile or whatever it is, somehow they get there, don't they?
They get there.
I remember you told me the
Yeah.
story last month about
And they
Earl.
also have a four-wheel ambulance thing, you know, to come down and pick up the people, you know. It's a hard drive down the hill, but I remember when they first brought the first one down here, you know, they came responded to when a friend of mine was down here, and he was tragically...
Would that be Joe?
Yeah,
When Joe had his heart attack or stroke?
Yeah, a stroke, yeah. And it was many years ago, but then again, I see, once in a while, I see the truck going here and there, and I said, how fortunate to have something like that. You
And
know?
many years ago, and then Joe lived on your down here on the farm for many years, and then what, a couple months ago, you had a little going away party for him, and we all came down and celebrated. He was... I mean, he's been living in a little cabin. You've been massaging his legs and feet for years and giving him encouragement, and he was ready to head home. And
Yeah,
so he headed
did.
home
He's
last
home
month.
right now. After 10 years having a stroke, then he recovered nicely, and now I'm so happy that he made it home. You know, I thought he'd never make it back, but he did.
It was fun to be able to send him off, and he just looked so strong, and he was walking pretty well, actually.
Then he could learn to drive his car, you know, and come up the hill so the care people can take him to his errands, you know, like going to the store and going to the doctor and all these things.
And
you
you've
know?
heard from him since he's been home back in the Midwest?
Yeah, he moved home, and now he's home, and he got to see his mom.
Great.
And the family members, and he said to me he has one more trip in his body, so he wants to go home. After 10 years laying down on the farm like this.
I could tell he was happy. That was fun, the nice little party you had for him. But, you know, so many wonderful things happen here at the Kunitake State Farms, or Coffee Farm up in Holualoa. And another one, we're running out of time here, but just quickly, you were featured on Sunshine Street on the Somewhere Street.
Yeah, NHK.
In Japan, and you've gotten a wonderful response from people that come here that saw it in Japan.
Yeah, they saw it in Japan, and they showed up here in Holualoa town, and I was shocked to see him. I said, how do you know this? He said, well, we saw NHK in Japan, so they figured they don't want to come and visit, so they did come.
And it's great because your ancestry is Japanese. Your great-grandparents came and landed in Kau, right, down there in Kau.
Yeah.
And
they're actually from Kyushu Island in Fukuoka King, you know, and prefecture, Fukuoka Prefecture in Kyushu Island, and so some of them came from Kyushu to visit. They said, since we were, well, anyway, your time out, and I'd like to thank you, Emily, for all the wonderful support you've given me.
Oh, I'm just glad your great-grandparents landed down there in Kau, and that your family ended up staying here and given so much to the community, and certainly you have given much enrichment to my life knowing the Kunitake Ohana. I love you, Chick.
Thank you, Emily.
All of you. Okay. Aloha.